So I was asked today to guide you through a meditation, and I think it's always just super helpful to set the foundation or the path on which we are going to travel as it relates to meditation, because I think meditation has gotten extremely popular, which is amazing. But in the midst of it being extremely popular, there can be just a lot of confusion around what meditation is, what we're doing, what we should be experiencing during meditation. And so I just want to just start off with, like, what are we actually doing when we are meditating? And so what we're doing when we're meditating is we are actually uh, nurturing the recognition of awareness. And so awareness is our capacity to know what's going on in our experience. We can know sensations in our body. We can know thoughts and emotions. We can know the information that we're receiving from our senses. So what we're hearing, what we're seeing, what we're smelling, what we're tasting. And so essentially we're born with this capacity to know. And so often we sort of are operating in our lives on autopilot. So it's not like we're not aware, right? Like, we can cross the street safely and not get hit by a car. But are we actually present with the process of walking across the street and not getting hit by a car? And so often we are not present. And this distraction in our lives just causes so many problems. We get caught up in the stories. We believe our thoughts to be true. We get overcome with difficult emotions. And so all of this is just like completely relevant in the light of what's going on with the virus, right? I mean, we are being required to adapt to constantly changing circumstances. We're required to be strong in the face of uncertainty, to manage our own anxiety. And meditation is a tool that can help us train our mind to be more resilient, to regulate ourselves in those moments where we're feeling anxious, to be able to show up with some kind of strength and capacity when we are feeling overwhelmed. And so my goal today is to lead you through about a 20-minute guided practice in which I'm going to teach you how to use different anchors to support your practice. And the reason for this is that we're each human beings that have like different desires. We have different preferences. And so there's not just like a one size fits all meditation that's going to work for somebody. So I'm going to teach you a couple of different things throughout the course of this practice that you can use to sort of nurture the seeds of being present to meditate. Just invite you to go ahead and take a comfortable seat. And so you can practice with your eyes open or your eyes closed. For the purposes of this, since I'm on camera, I'll just keep my eyes open. But if it feels better for you to keep your eyes closed, feel free to do that. And I just want you to notice what's happening in your body right now. So notice how you're feeling at the end of your workday or the end of your day of being with your kids. How are you feeling energetically? Just notice that. Just notice whatever other sensations are kind of happening in your body right now. So the feeling of your feet on the floor, feeling of your hands in your lap, your seat on the cushion or on the chair. And just having a sense of being here right now with whatever is happening. So no need to alter your experience or fix or change your experience. You're just allowing yourself to land in your body. And so the first part of our practice today is going to be a body scan in which I'm going to direct you to pay attention to different parts of your body. Again, not trying to change what's happening, just really allowing yourself to be present with whatever's happening in your body. Pleasant sensations, unpleasant sensations, just being with it and accepting it without resisting it. But just begin to notice sensations in your forehead. Notice if you have tension, tightness. You might even have feelings of openness or stiffness or little sensation at all. So you're just actually noticing what's happening in the muscles in your forehead. And you're most likely only able to stay with those sensations for a few moments before your mind goes crazy, gets lost in thought, gets really active. And so the idea here is that you just return to noticing those sensations when you're disconnected from this sense of knowing. So then just bring your awareness to other muscles in your face and just notice what's happening in your jaw, your cheeks, your mouth. And simply in noticing those sensations, perhaps if there is some tension, you can just let go a little bit. If you're bracing in the jaw from a stressful day or stressful circumstances, just see if you can let go 0.5% of any tension in your face. Notice what's happening in your neck and your shoulders. We have a tendency to carry a lot of stress in our shoulders. So just noticing, is there a way to just allow the shoulders to drop away from the ears? And if not, that's okay too. Just allow the tension to be there without resisting. And then just notice what's happening in your chest and your belly, that tendency to constrict the breath, hold the breath during times of stress. See if you can allow the breath to be natural. Allowing the breath to come from the belly rather than the chest. And you'll notice that thoughts will come, thoughts will go, as long as you're not disconnected from the body and knowing the sensations in your torso and your chest, it's okay. Let the thoughts come, let the thoughts go. And then just notice sensations in your legs. Might be the feeling of the hands in the lap or on the thighs, seat on the mat or on the chair. And just allow the mind to rest with those sensations in the lower body. We're not trying to fix or change our experience here. We're really just allowing our mind to be with whatever is happening, and there's real power in that. We're not saying, we're just allowing things to be as they are. And perhaps in the allowing, there can be a little ease within that space of acceptance. And so then just beginning to open up to what's going on in your environment. You can notice any sounds in the environment, might be sounds of children in the other room, of a pet breathing, even just the sound of my voice, just really opening up to whatever's happening in your field of senses. And so often we are judging what we're receiving in the field of our senses as pleasant or unpleasant. We're attracted to the things that feel good and we want to push away what feels bad. So here we're just non judgmentally knowing what's happening in our environment. And so if any point doesn't feel nourishing for you to open up to the senses, you can just bring your awareness back to your body. So now we've got two anchors to support our practice: our body, sensations in the body, and then whatever we're receiving in our senses: smell, taste, sound, even sight. If you choose to open your eyes, you can just be a little curious around what it's like to be present and aware for these things. So, this process of getting lost and coming back is really, that's the training. So, we do this process of getting lost and coming back and getting lost and coming back many times. how we're building our mental muscle, our capacity to just be with what's happening. So if you've been working with sound, perhaps you can open up your exploration to working with the breath, working with sight, even just noticing the light that might be peeking through your eyelids, that sensory information that you can notice. In those moments where we realize that we're no longer present with what we're using to support our practice, that's success. That's remembering to be back, to be paying attention. So you can celebrate each of those moments of distraction and coming back as a small victory. And so then in the midst of all of this, it can be really easy to fixate on what's going wrong, what's causing us stress. And so just take a moment to reflect on something in your circumstances right now that you are appreciating. Could be a person, something about your environment, your home. Perhaps it's something about your body and your body's capacity to handle what's going on. So just bringing to mind some aspect of your current circumstances that you can appreciate. Just think about that for a moment. Even in the midst of challenging times, there are things that we can appreciate that just often go unrecognized. Even just the simple functioning of the body. Our heart is beating, our lungs are breathing, and they're doing these things all on their own. And just appreciating everything that our body is doing for us in the midst of this difficult time. And so then you can just drop the reflection and just notice what has come up in your experience. Maybe there's a feeling or a thought. So whatever's happening, positive, negative, or neutral, just allow yourself to just notice what's emerged from the practice. And just let that be for a moment or two as we finish our last moment or two of practice. So whenever you can just begin to gently blink open your eyes. You can unmute yourselves and we can maybe just check in about how that was for you, questions you might have. So just as a recap, as we're unmuting ourselves, essentially there were a couple of different things within that practice that you could use if you want to start sort of working with meditation on your own. So one of those things was the sensations in the body. And this can be really useful even when you're having difficulty, when you're feeling anxious. You can just kind of notice that, notice how the sensations are kind of moving within your body and changing within your body. You can also do the body scan, which can be very relaxing. Then we opened up to our senses. So you can use any of the sense doors as support for practice. So sight, sound, smell, taste, any of those things. And then we moved into just more of like a reflection on appreciation. So really any of those things could be used on their own as a practice in and of themselves, or you could piece together things that might feel more meaningful for you.
Perfect. Jill, do you want to go first? Do you have any questions?
So tell me, please.
I just started practicing this like a couple days ago. It's hard for me, but I like how when you say like it's okay that when other thoughts come in, because when they do, I kind of feel like, oh no, like I messed up. But then I can just like know that that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I just literally can't help it.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it's true. And thank you for saying that, because I think that that's such a common misperception about practice, is that people come to meditation with this belief that we're to get rid of thoughts and to blank of mind. And that's actually not at all the case. Like the mind is conditioned to think. Like that's what it does. It helps us navigate our world through thoughts and perception. And it's a very normal part of the process. And if you can just actually kind of watch the thoughts come and go through your experience, what this allows is it actually allows you to just see thoughts as thoughts. So when you think about like our normal relationship with thoughts, we normally get very caught up in them. We get caught up in the story. We believe the story to be true, or we try and push away the story because it's so painful. And so what we're doing in meditation is we're actually just cultivating this capacity to see things as they come and go through our field of experience, and so that we don't get all entangled in it. And so the fact that you're just seeing the thought and you're just kind of letting it go and allowing that to be a normal part of your experience will just really help you in your practice, and also help you in your daily life.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Jen, do you want to kind of share your experience with the meditation?
Well, the first thing for me to go is my breath, and I notice as soon as I started, I noticed my breath wasn't easily coming in and out, and I wasn't taking full deep breaths. So it was that was like the first thing I was like really trying to like focus on. And then towards the end, my dog started barking, and thank goodness you guys couldn't hear that, but that was the first thing to go. And then I also felt like this tension I felt over the last 2 weeks is like this migraine, like right behind my brows. And so that kind of came back. But then I think having the awareness around it, I was able to like get control of it again. And then like started like the body scan, and that really helps release the tension for me. And even if it doesn't go away completely, it's like I think to your point, it's like recognizing something and just having acceptance with that it's there and not trying to make a change. And it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, that's there. All right, now what else are we moving on to? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
notice as I do the body scan, like it's like my headache was there, but it wasn't, it started to fade, and it might have been there, but it was muted because I think maybe my mind accepted the fact that it was there and I wasn't trying to change it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that you bring up again such a good point, because when you think about the power of just accepting rather than resisting, like it just gives space for things to just be as they are and not try and fix or change them. So a lot of our stress comes from the fact that we're trying to take something and take control of it and
Yeah.
like change it and fix it. And there's so much tension within that.
Yeah.
It's going to be what it's going to be. The illusion of being able to fix or change something is strong,
Yeah.
right? So to
Yeah.
just allow, yeah, that can really kind of like loosen things up. And then when we can see the wisdom of the fact that things are actually changing all the time. So even though this circumstance of being at home with your kids and, compromised income, being unemployed, like it can feel really permanent, but when we actually just see like the nature of thoughts come and go, the nature of the breath comes and goes, like things are changing in our experience all the time. And so when we can begin to sort of see the wisdom of impermanence, we know like there's a part of us that knows that this is not going to last, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, but it doesn't mean that it's not scary as hell, right? So
Right.
doesn't mean it's not scary. Doesn't
Right.
mean that, because we're looking at this as like an existential threat, of course, that's totally
Right.
natural. But can we just see that things are changing all the time and that this too actually will change?
Yeah.
We're not going to
Yeah.
be stuck at home forever with our kids and our dogs and our, in our sweatpants and whatever.
Right. We will dress up again. But that's what I really felt like was so good for me today. Because I've been meditating for a few years now, normally in the morning, but I feel like I've been so resistant to it. And I think it's that control that you were talking about. Like I just didn't want, I've been trying so hard not to think about everything. Like I want to stay in a positive place so I'm not thinking about it. But I think that's the stress that you were saying. I've just felt like my shoulders have been like, so scrunched up for the last few weeks, just really trying my hardest not to think about it. So it was really amazing for me to have you guide us through it and really, put voice to the fact that it's okay. I don't have to control it. I can, let the thoughts come and go. And, I think there's been almost this kind of fear of meditating, like I would be opening the floodgates and thinking about all of the stuff that I don't want to think about. So,
Yeah.
I think it was so good for me. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think too, to your point around, when you have those like really intrusive thoughts, of course they're painful, and so there's a way in which we can direct our mind to something else that might be like a little bit more neutral in our experience. So in those moments when those thoughts are painful, sometimes the breath is actually not the most helpful thing to go to, because the breath is so tied to anxiety that when we bring our attention there, it almost can cause this like heightened state of arousal. So can we bring our awareness to something that's like a little bit more neutral in our environment, like maybe just opening up to the sounds in our environment, or going for a walk and opening up to the sounds of the birds singing, so those things. And so like drawing, the thoughts are going to come, the thoughts are going to go, but can you actually bring your awareness to something that feels a little bit more safe and nourishing, that isn't as triggering? And so then when you do that, like coming back and then just being with the thought maybe for a moment, and then you can go back to the sound. So there's a way in which you can kind of like pendulate between the two, to be able to work with kind of that feeling of just being overwhelmed and hyper aroused and stressed out. Of course, that's totally natural. We are human beings and we're hardwired to detect threats, and this feels like a really big threat.
Yeah.